What's up, guys? It is time to do my favorite 10 Marvel Legends figures for the year. Well, 10 figures and my favorite build figure out of the bunch. And this list has been, it's been kind of weird because not only have there been a million Marvel Legends figures this year, I mean, it is incredibly daunting to go back and look at everything that's come out this year, and I have most of them. I don't get exactly everything, but it's a very small few that I did not get a hold of this year. And this list in general is just kind of weird. Last year, for example, was, I think 90% of the list was X-Men figures. This year, it's mostly just sort of a hodgepodge of all sorts of different stuff because this year was all over the place. And to top it off, I think 7 of the 10 figures here are not Build-A-Figure Wave figures. So it's just sort of pulled from all directions. So let's just jump right in and get started at number 10. And this one's kind of interesting because it is a holdover from last year almost. My number 1 figure last year was shared by 2 figures. The Wolverine and Hulk 2-pack, that Hulk, and then the Gray Hulk exclusive. This year my number 10 is the Red Hulk, which was of course a Target exclusive. And this is mostly just because I absolutely love that body, and despite the fact that it was a huge pain for most people to get a hold of, the figure itself is pretty amazing. If you like that figure, this is one to not pass up. It's a Red Hulk, so I had to get a new version, and it's also on a big monstrous body that I just really like. So it had everything going for it. It's a new version of a new Hulk, and it is on a body that I'm really happy with. It's honestly something I didn't expect to end up on this list, but once I went back and took a look at it, I knew that I still love that figure and that body just as much as I did when those Hulks came out last year. Number 9 is a figure that I have waited for a while, but not something that I absolutely felt like I had to have. It wasn't something that I said I just need to have this thing, but I really wanted to get him whenever they finally got around to him. So number 9 is Maverick from the Strong Guy, the Deadpool wave. This guy really just has it all. He moves really well. The sculpt is incredibly unique. He's very different from most other figures. He's got a good array of accessories, and he just looks so 90s. And when it comes to Marvel Legends, 90s stuff always speaks to me, and anything 90s X-Men related always speaks to me. So that guy was, while not a must-have, he was something that's been on the list for me for quite a while, and I'm glad we finally got him. Number 8 takes us to a movie that I have still not seen and likely have no intention of seeing, but the figure was really good, save for some goofy looking toes. The number 8 spot goes to the movie Venom figure because, I mean, frankly, this guy is just fantastic in just about every respect. He's got newer style articulation, very similar to the retro SpiderMan, just a larger figure. You've got a tremendous sculpt, you've got great paint applications, and honestly, this Venom looks really good and translates really well into figure form. The only reason he's probably this far down on the list is because I have no true attachment to this version of Venom. I don't care about that movie, likely don't need to see it, but the figure is a hell of a lot of fun. Number 7 is one that I think a lot of folks have kind of ranted and raved over, and it's the only figure from his wave that I actually got around to reviewing. Number 7 is Kang the Conqueror from the Gamerverse Joe Fixit wave. It's a figure that I think a lot of folks have really been wanting for a while. It's a big villain, it's a new sculpt, it's great new articulation scheme, it's a pinless figure, which I have just been all about ever since we started getting those. The more pinless stuff they can pump out, the better. He's just so aesthetically pleasing, and overall, they really nailed the classic look on a villain that I've been missing for quite some time. Number 6 is another movie figure, and it feels weird to say that because, you know, movie figures are not my thing, but that's usually MCU figures. This guy is not an MCU figure. Number 6 is the tank top movie Wolverine figure. So we did have a couple movie Wolverine figures this year. There's the jacket version, there's of course the Logan version, but the tank top version is the one that I really like, and it mostly comes down to the head sculpts that he has. I prefer that kind of pack out for the head sculpts with this figure, but when I got this guy, I could not put him down, and I just had so much fun playing around with him. I love the claw design, I love the likeness on this figure, the articulation is great, he moves really well, and it's just a fantastic looking movie Wolverine. I didn't need to buy every single X-Men movie figure this year, but this guy was at the top of the list. Number 5 is another deluxe figure, so number 10 was a deluxe and number 5 is a deluxe. And this is one that I think a lot of folks have really been wanting for a long time, just to get a new updated comic version of Rhodey. So number 5 is War Machine, and I mean really this guy has it all. He's got pinless technology, not 100%, but he's got some pinless tech. He looks fantastic, sculpt is great, the unhelmeted head sculpt is great, and he has so many accessories. We pay a little bit more for this guy, but you get so much by comparison. You get all those blast effect pieces, you just get tons of effect parts when it comes to the explosion effects, all that kind of stuff. Tons of stuff to make this guy into actually being War Machine. So what you expect him to be, bullets blazing everywhere, tons of effects, missiles, rockets, the whole deal. This guy has it and looks and moves fantastically. Number 4 is probably one of the more surprising picks for me on the list, at least for me personally, because I didn't think that this was going to appear on the list when I first got a hold of this figure. But then once I played around with it, I knew that this was, I mean, honestly, one of my favorite figures right away. Number 4 is the Walmart exclusive Black Widow, so the Gray Widow. And this one is, it's again, just kind of like Rhodey, it's everything that this version of the character needs. She has all those accessories, all those effect parts, and the sculpt on this figure is just tremendous. The jacket, the head sculpt in particular, and the paint applications are truly something else. It's a figure that I had no expectation of actually wanting or needing, but when I got her in hand, it was another one that I could not put down, and loved recreating some of those classic scenes like her with Wolverine and Cap. It's one of those figures that I didn't think I needed until I got her in hand. Number 3 is the only figure on this list that I never got around to reviewing, and it's obviously not because I don't like the figure, it's just I didn't get around to it. That happens sometimes. So number 3 is the Storm figure from the 2-pack, the Target exclusive Storm. So this is of course the classic Storm that a lot of folks have wanted for a long time, and she has just so much new stuff going for her. She has a great sculpt, she moves really well, she has a lot of accessories, she's got those fantastic Palpatine style lightning hands, and I really dig everything about what they did with this figure. I really think that they went kind of above and beyond to make sure that she was the star of this 2-pack, because she very much is the star in comparison to her companion. That figure is kind of a mess in a few ways. So you've got a beauty and a beast when it comes to this particular 2-pack, and it's one that I think everybody needs to have when it comes to an X-Men collection, and of course one that thankfully was incredibly easy to get a hold of too. Number 2 is definitely a surprise for me, and it's not because of how good the figure is, it's because of who the character is, because I really don't care about this character at all. It's not that I have a distaste for him, it's just he's never been anything I cared about. Number 2 is Old Man Hawkeye. This figure is just so surprisingly fun. He has a fantastic sculpt, pinless technology. I mean, they went all out on this figure. Old Man Hawkeye, of all figures, they decided to go all out on this guy, and it shows. He looks fantastic. He moves tremendously well. He has those awesome head sculpts. I love the ponytail head with the glasses. Accessories are fantastic, and it's overall a character that I don't really care for, but translated into figure form exceptionally well. Another one that I just could not put down. Before we get to number 1, we do have to talk about Build-A-Figure, and I did get every single Build-A-Figure this year, and honestly, they were mostly, almost all of them were really good. You know, even Demo Goblin is a pretty good figure. It's just sort of a weak Build-A-Figure, but Crimson Dynamo's really good. That Abomination is really good. Things like that. We got a lot of big, beefy figures that I'm really, really happy with. You know, Venom Pool, really good. Even Stiltman, I've got that wave as well, and Stiltman is awesome. He's not my favorite, but it's an awesome Build-A-Figure and a great idea. My favorite Build-A-Figure, though, is, I mean, without a doubt, it's Guido, it's Strong Guy. It's one that I have wanted for a very long time, so there's a lot of personal attachment to this one. It's an X character. It's a big X character, literally and figuratively, and they really nailed him. He is humongous in all the right places. That sounds weird. He has a tremendous head sculpt, and overall the look is everything I wanted it to be. It's exactly what I need to round out my X Factor crew, and it's a great figure. He displays perfectly, and he is a hulking figure. There is so much plastic when it comes to this guy, and it's exactly what I wanted in a BAF. They did a great job on that one. And then to round out the list, the one that, I mean, at this point it's probably obvious, right? It's got to be obvious what number 1 is going to be. Number 1 is the new new retro Spider-Man figure from the retro Spider-Man wave. And it's one that, I mean, again, I said it quite a few times, but this is one that has not left my desk since I did the review. He has been on my desk, which doesn't happen very often, for what, 6-7 months at this point? I don't know. Whenever I got that wave early, because I wanted this figure so badly that I bought a case early at a stupid price. But this guy is fantastic. It's everything that I wanted in a Spider-Man figure for a very, very long time. Granted, I do wish that this guy had been the poster child for pinless technology, but he moves so well and he looks fantastic, and I would love for them to make me rebuy some Spider-Man figures just to reuse this body in a few other ways, because there's a few other Spider-Man that could definitely utilize this body. I love the articulation scheme, I love the sculpt, I love the size, and it's just a great figure. It's a fun figure, and despite the fact that I'm not the biggest Spider-Man fan ever, I always skew toward the X stuff. Getting a nice, solid, really, really well-articulated Spider-Man is something that I've wanted in Legends for a really long time, to give me a reason to not have to go with an import, and that's basically what this one did. So that is my top 10 favorite Marvel Legends for the year. There are definitely some ones that I might have left out depending on what you really wanted to see. No Deadpool, because I just don't really care that much about Deadpool. No Carnage, even though I army build a non-army build character in many ways, things like that. But there were just so many figures to pick from. I had to go with my gut on a lot of these, ones that I truly didn't want to put down when I got them, ones that have not really left my review space or my desk in a very long time. And Hasbro honestly just pumped out a whole bunch of stuff this year, and tons of it was really, really good. So let me know what you guys think of my list. Let me know what your list is, and I'll catch you next time.